Hey guys, welcome back. This is Joel, and in this series, we are talking about Silver Peak's SD-WAN solution. We have done a couple of videos already where we talked a little bit about the technology. We also then went about configuring orchestrator with some important features. We also went and brought up our first, edge connector plans. Go back and check those videos on the channel. So in this video, what we are going to do is, so this is the topology, right? What we are going to do is we will try to bring up three of the appliances, which is SP2, SP3 and SP4, right? While doing this, we will also concentrate a little bit more on the deployment profiles. We will not be bringing up SP5 now. We will do this at a later stage, but for now mainly we'll concentrate on getting these three appliances up in this video, right? So that being said, just to recollect, our SP1 is already up, right? So what we are going to do now is, let me just we have to do some mandatory configuration on the orchestrator, but before we get into that, what I'll do is I'll just wipe these boxes if they have some previous configuration. So SP2 is cleaned, SP2, 3 both are cleaned, and SP4 as well. Let's wipe it off, and while we are here, let's wipe up the SP5 as well, right? And let's go ahead and start up these boxes, which is SP2, SP3 and SP, the last one is SP4 as well. Perfect. So that's good. Let me just click and in case open it and keep it ready so that we know that we will know when the boxes are up, right? So this is good. Right now let's also check what is our, because remember we have a let's just disconnect this one and connect it back. So this is the management router where we are running a DHCP. So if I do show IP DHCP binding, right? You can see as of now we have 1.3 and 1.5, right? So the new IP addresses should basically, the new devices, right, should basically pick up IP addresses from here. Okay, cool. So let's continue with that. By the time they come up, let's actually go to our orchestrator, right? Let's switch to our orchestrator, and what we'll do now is we'll do some configurations, right, which is needed. So let's start exploring a little bit on the deployment profile. So we go to orchestrator here, right? And if you go to configuration, if you go to overlays, and you have something called deployment profiles, right? In the first video, we actually ended up using a default, deployment profile, which was MPLS, Internet, and LTE, right? But in this video, we'll start creating a deployment profile of our own. Okay. So for which appliance do we start with? Let's start with the SP2. If you see SP2, it just has a MPLS connectivity, correct? So let's start with that, guys. So we'll come here. We will we can clone, right? We can always clone. We don't have to start everything from scratch. So we'll select a MPLS only deployment profile here, right? This is the MPLS only deployment profile, and what we can do is, let's make sure that router is selected, right? And on the LAN side, what we'll do is, remember we already explored the whole concept of sub interfaces and stuff, but just to be clear about it, we can maybe add one more sub interface here. We can call this as VLAN 131, right? So the labels here is going to be data. So the untagged traffic will be data, and we are expecting the voice traffic will be tagged as 131, right? The LAN is going to send voice traffic tagged with 131, and the untagged traffic will be the data traffic. Okay, then so that's on the LAN side, right? So deployment profile is, like I said, it's just a setting, right? We are not going to put the IP address. We're gonna, you see here, this is grayed out. You can't put the IP address. We are just doing the setting. So when the SP2 basically is when the SP2 comes up and checks in with the orchestrator, we can use this deployment profile to configure it. That's it. That's the only use of deployment profile. Okay, so on the WAN side, remember we just have WAN 0, right? WAN 0 and only MPLS 1 is there, right? We can do something with the firewall, right? So you can see the firewall mode here. It is right now allowing everything, allow all is selected, right? If you want, you can actually change, right? For now, for MPLS, we're gonna keep it as firewall mode as allow all. But if you want to do NAT and stuff, you know, we can do stateful with NAT and stuff. We'll do that later, but for now this is good. And what else do we want here? So we have selected the WAN interface, which is perfect. You know, you can see the flag also here which says that it is not behind NAT, right, which is good. So that's about it. What else do we want to set up here? We can also kind of put a bandwidth, like for example in this case, let's say we're going to use about 2 Mbps, right? 2 Mbps outbound and 2 Mbps inbound from this particular branch, right? Because like I said in the previous video, it's important to define your bandwidth usage at a particular site on a particular appliance, because ultimately when you hit the calculate button, this is where it is going to be selected. And here ideally if you are I mean, generally you buy licenses for the traffic which you want to kind of I mean, it doesn't make sense if your branch is just sending 100 Mbps of traffic. It doesn't make sense for you to get license worth 1 gig, right? So always make sure that you capture what is the bandwidth you expect from the device, and you know, by using then you can use that information to select your licensing. In my case, like I said, you know, I have like a education license, so I am good to kind of select this, but ideally that is what you would do. For boost also, I'm just going to go blindly with 2 Mbps, the whole traffic I'm going to boost it. But ideally, you know, in a production environment, you would do a lengthy investigation to really figure out what will be the boost traffic, what will be the traffic you would want to boost. Okay. And this NAT thing, I think the whole reason here is if you click on this, right, you will get an option to select basically if this appliance is behind a NATing device, then you can select as NAT. In our case, you know, this appliance is not, SP2 is not going to be behind a NAT device, so we are not going to select it. Okay. So now this is very important. You shouldn't hit the save, because if you hit the save, right, then this default profile itself will get saved with the changes what you did, right? What we'll do is we'll do save as. Okay. And we'll do save as, and here maybe we can give different names here, right? So I'm going to say something, I'm going to say bits please, right? That's, let's say my customer's name, right? And I'm going to say edge, you know, HA appliance, because we are going to be doing edge, you know, high availability, right, at this site. So I'm going to call as edge HA, and just going to say MPLS here. Right, so this is the site, you know, this is the which Paris site, right? For Paris site, we'll be doing something called as HHA at a later stage. So I'm just calling it for my reference. I'm going to save it using that as the name, right? Cool. So the next one is going to be for SP3. For SP3, let's go with because it has what? If you look at SP3, it has where is SP3 here? It has the internet and 4G. So let's find a profile which matches that, right? So it's going to be which one? Dual internet, is it? Single internet, dual internet. What else do we have? So I think we could probably, in fact, what we could do is, you know, whatever we created now, right? The bits please edge. So we'll use this, right? And we'll clone this, right, at a later stage. So we'll take this for now. And yeah, so this is good at this point, right? So this one we used it, I mean on the LAN side I think we are good, right? On the WAN side, what we'll have to do is we'll have to add one more WAN, right? In fact, we'll have to change this to begin with. Remember our WAN 0 in this case has been selected with the MPLS 1. For this particular appliance there is no WAN 0, so we'll have to change this to WAN 1, and this one is going to be INET 1, correct? Because we have only internet and 4G LTE at this particular, right? So we can add one more interface, and we'll change this to sorry, this one is supposed to be WAN 1 internet, and we are going to change this to WAN 2, and this will be LTE. Perfect. So let's see if that looks good. Looks like I can't really select WAN 1 directly, so okay, so I think I will have to okay, so I think we will have to use our internet as WAN 0 for this guy, and we'll have to use the LTE as WAN 1 for this. Fine, that's we could work with that. And the bandwidth, you know, I think we'll use the same thing, 2 Mbps from each of the transports, right? Perfect. I'm going to calculate. You can see it's 2 plus 2, 4, 2 plus 2, 4, right? We don't have to worry a lot about, I mean, the licenses is fine. Maybe a boost. Do we really want boost on this one? Yeah, so we'll change this 2000 to 4000. Okay, now because you're using internet here, right, what we could do is we could probably change the firewall mode to stateful plus source NAT, because transports like internet and 4G, right, they are generally I mean, you use these transports to reach out to the internet, so you'd want your traffic to get natted out, right? So we could change the mode to stateful plus NAT. So you're basically getting the firewall statefulness, plus you can also enable the NAT, right? So the traffic will get natted out as it goes out. Yeah, so I think that's good. What else do we do here? Perfect, so that's good. So we'll just hit the save as button, and this time we will just change the remember, because if I hit the save button, then the previous profile will get changed. So I will not hit the save button, rather I will just change, and this is going to be HHA, but this is going to be actually, instead of MPLS, it's going to be internet, and it is going to be LT. So now I'm going to hit the save button, right? So you see now we have gone and actually created this is for SP3, and this is for the other bits place is for SP2. Perfect, we have created the profiles. Great. Now we also need to create it for the last guy, which is SP4, right? So we can just take this guy, right, and we can modify. We can just use this guy and modify, right? So let's look at our topology again. For SP4, if you look at SP4, it's this guy. It has MPLS and internet, right? So because we have MPLS and internet, so let's come here. First thing we'll have to do is let's actually add one more sub interface here, because let's consider our site Berlin as a data center site, right? So which means we can put 132, and let's also have a guest traffic over that. And on the WAN side, what we can do is we'll change WAN 0. If you look at WAN 0 and WAN 1 here, this is going to be WAN 0 for us, and WAN 1, right? So it's going to be MPLS 1, change this to MPLS 1, and WAN 0 is going to change to internet 1, right? Let's change the firewall mode to allow all for MPLS, because MPLS is generally trustworthy network, right? You have a private network of sorts, so you don't really need intense firewalling over there, but we will continue doing stateful firewall with natting source NAT for INET traffic. Okay, and what else do we need? So let's maybe increase the bandwidth here from 2000 to maybe 4000, right? So because why we are increasing it here? Because we are thinking this is going to act like a data center for us, right? So this site is going to be a data center site, so we are expecting a little more traffic here, right? Let's hit the calculate button. You can see boost also, let's increase it to maybe 8000. Perfect. So that's all about the settings we're gonna do here, and we can again hit the save as button, and this time we're gonna save it as bits please, but let's save it as just maybe data centers HA, which is a traditional HA, right? I'm gonna hit the save button. Cannot duplicate interfaces WAN 0, WAN 1. Okay, so looks like we have an issue, because looks like the issue is this is WAN 0, so this one has to be WAN 1, right? So now we'll try to save this. Save. Perfect. Okay, so you see we have created these three deployment profiles, which is very important, because as we get the appliances now, we can configure them using these. Okay, let's go and check what has happened with our appliances. As you see here, let's go and check the show IP DHCP binding. Perfect, right? So we've got the appliances. Don't worry about 1.5, which we already had. We just need to concentrate on 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so where do we start with? So first things, again, we have to go into the management PC and do some configurations, right? So let's start with 1.6. So let's come to our management PC, and this is a management. Okay, this is a management PC, correct? So let's just increase the size a little bit. Let's go to a new tab. I'm going to say https://192.168.1.6, right? So there you go. It's giving me an option. I'm going to say advanced, accept the risk. Let's increase the size a little bit, and the default username is going to be admin, right? Admin. Let's just make sure. So this is, as you see, 899 E6C. So let's look at what is our SP2. 899 E6C, right? So that's perfect. So that's the SP2. We are working with SP2 now. I'm going to log into SP2. So let's wait for that. Meanwhile, let's look at our MAC address, right? So if you see for SP2, if you see the MAC address is starting from 5000 and 005, and that's the management interface. So where is our SP2? Over here. So we just need to configure Ethernet 0, Ethernet 1, which is towards which is going to be WAN 0. That's it. For now, we just need to configure these two, and I believe we'll have to put these two interfaces as LAN interfaces. Okay, so let's go to the configuration wizard over here. Let's click on configuration. Okay, so we'll go to initial config wizard. So once we are here, we'll have to put the host name. So we'll put the SP-2. Let's put the management interface in the 00 interface, right? WAN 0 is going to be the MPLS interface, right? So let's look at a topology again. The WAN 0 is the Ethernet 1 interface here. So I'm going to go with that. And WAN 1, I'm just thinking, I believe because we'll be using this for Edge HA. For now, let's put this as a Ethernet 2 as a WAN 2 interface, right? So WAN 1, let's put this as a Ethernet 2. We can change this at a later point. For now, this is good. And what are the other interfaces? So we have these both covered. We just need to put, we got 3 of these covered, right? We put management, Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, if I'm not wrong. Did we put 3 of those guys? 1, 2, 3, yes. All we need is, we just need Ethernet 3, right? Which is the LAN side. So LAN 0, where is LAN 0? LAN 0 is over here. We'll just change this to 3. Perfect. I don't think we need, this guy is using just 1, 2, 3, 4 interfaces. Okay, so that's perfect. So we're gonna hit before hitting the save, I'll have to copy the account name and the license and then hit the save. So let me do that by pausing the video. Perfect. So it's going to give you an option to reboot. So I'm going to say yes for the reboot here, and let's go to the next tab, which is which is basically going to be the next appliance, right? So if you look at my IP address here, we'll go to 1.7, which is going to be, I'm hoping, the next appliance. So let's basically do all the configuration of all the 3 appliances and then approve all the 3 appliances in one shot. Okay, so let's select this guy, but just gotta get rid of everything. 7. Okay, advanced, and let's accept. So here, let's go with admin. Let's make sure that this ends with B8, right? So if you look at this one, SP3 is the one ending with B8. Okay, perfect. So let's log in. Again, the MAC address part. Let's go to configuration, initial config wizard. Let's go and check out our config. So here we will need Ethernet 0 towards management. Ethernet 1 is our internet. Ethernet 2, Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 4. So I believe these both are going to be our WAN 0 and WAN 1 on this guy, right? Right, so let's do that. So WAN 0, WAN 1, and then let's do it one by one, otherwise we'll get confused, right? So let's come here. First things first, let's change this to SP-3. Let's change the capital to SP3, and let's change this management interface first to this guy, right? 06. WAN 0. Let's start with WAN 0. As per our deployment profile, remember we used WAN 0 as the Ethernet for this, so that's going to be Ethernet 1. So WAN 0 is Ethernet 1, so the MAC address will be this guy. Okay. Next, WAN 1 is going to be the 4G, which is Ethernet 4, right? So let's change this WAN 1 to the Ethernet 4. Okay. And let's also do the LAN side, which is Ethernet 3. So LAN 0 over here is going to be Ethernet 3. And the last guy, which is probably towards 2, right? That's for now, use that as WAN 2 over here, right? Let's use this. We might have to change this at a later point, but for now it's fine, right? Again, I'll repeat the same thing. I will just copy the account name and account key and reload the box. Perfect. Last one is going to be the SP4. So let's go to that guy, and that is going to be 1.6, 1.7. I think we did 1.7. Now it's 1.8. Okay. Advanced. We will go accept, and we will do admin. Let's click on login. Okay, so it's coming up. Meanwhile, let's come to the initial config wizard. Okay, so here, okay, so let's start by putting the host name, which is sp-4. Okay, so sp-4, which is fine. Start with management interface, which is going to be obviously the 00, right? Come to the topology. If you see sp4 here, right? So we have done the management interface, which is Ethernet 0. Now let's concentrate on the MPLS one, which is WAN 0 for us, right? Which is going to be Ethernet 1. So WAN 0 is going to be Ethernet 1. So that is going to be this guy. Let's go to Ethernet 2, which will be the WAN 1 for us. So WAN 1 is going to be Ethernet 2, right? So that's done. So we have taken care of these both. We have done Ethernet 0, and the last one is the Ethernet 3, which is the LAN side. So we go to LAN, change this to 3, right? And obviously I'm going to put the account name and reload this box as well. Perfect. So we have done that. Looks like our SP2 has reloaded. SP3 also has reloaded, whereas SP4 is coming up. Alright, so let's now jump into my devices here, right? So let's actually close everything for a minute so that we are not confused with things, right? So let's look at the appliances which were discovered. Okay, it's like that's just suck. We'll just move that. Okay, there we go. So looks like one by one appliances are trying to come up, right? We can see SP2 has first come up, right? So we can go ahead and start configuring SP2. So I'm going to click on approve. Let's skip this. We don't want to upgrade it right now. Remember, SP2 and SP3 will be part of Paris, right? It will be part of that particular group. So let's do that configuration. There you go. So SP2 will change the group to Paris because that's where it belongs. You can put the password for admin credentials. Perfect. Let's change the city, state, pin code. So this one is supposed to be Paris, right? And maybe France, I guess. Okay. So that's good. Site name and all of that we can skip for now, right? We'll click on next. Now this is where, we'll click on router, and here see in the drop down, this is where we can now select bits please, HConnect, HA, MPLS, because that was the deployment profile which we created for SP2, right? Now time to put the IP addresses, right? So we have everything intact. All we have to put the IP addresses. So we'll go with 10.99. I think this was 20, right? If I'm not wrong. Let's look at our topology. So you see here 10.99.20, that's a subnet, right? So 20. Maybe 100, 20 dot is it 100, or maybe we can use once, let's see, is it 100 here? I have yeah, I've not really mentioned, so we could go with 100, 101, anything, right? So we could use 101 as well. So 10.99.20.101 slash 24. Similarly, excuse me, let's go with 10.99. I mean, we could use say 23.101 slash 24, right? So that takes care of the LAN side. On the WAN side, we just have MPLS, so we'll have to put the IP address over here. Where is the IP address? Sorry, over here, right? It's going to be 10 dot. Let's go back to our topology. For MPLS, it's 10.99.104, right? So 99.104.100. Perfect. Slash 24. Make sense? And what is going to be the default gateway? I mean, the next hop is going to be the same thing, but .1. Right. So this is actually nothing but the IP address of this, this particular interface over here, right? You can see, sorry, here 10.99.104.1. Perfect. This all looks good. We can now just blindly go and click next. You can see all the settings which we did in deployment profile is showing up, right? We'll skip the loopback for now. Again, go next. Let's make sure we have talked about this in the previous video. Let's select both of these, really needed for the route learning purpose. Go next, and we'll select all our BIOS over here. Let's select the template group also, and we're gonna hit the apply. Perfect. So you can see it's in progress. So let's wait for this whole thing to complete. Perfect. So that's taken care. Let's go and click close here, and you can see now we are ready to. So SP2 should start showing up here. You might get some alerts because until the orchestrator is able to set up all the tunnels and everything, right, it will start giving you all these alerts, but that's fine, it's acceptable. Let's go to SP3 now. Let's hit approve on that guy. So here you go, we're going to skip it again. SP3, remember, it is connected to internet and 4G LTE. So yeah, let's go ahead here and let's start configuring the IP addresses here by selecting the right deployment profile. Alright, so SP3 site is going to be changed to Paris again because this also belongs to the second one, right? So that's good. We can change the password as well. Let's change this guy also to Paris. Perfect. Region, for now we can skip all of this, go to the next one. Here what we are going to select, it's bits please, internet and LTE, right? So here we'll have to start putting the IP addresses again. On the LAN side, let's put the IP over here, right? So it's going to be 10 dot, again same thing, 99 dot, what's the subnet? So it's going to be same thing, right? 10.99.20, it's going to be the subnet. 20 dot, the IP address is going to be 102 because we have 101 which we have used, so I'm going to use 102. Similar IP address on the other guy, just change this 20 to 23. Okay. Now on the WAN side, remember we have iNet1 LTE, right? So for the iNet, right, one, let's observe what is the IP address, right? So the iNet one is this one, 10.99.105 is what we want, right? So 10.99.105. We will use 100/24. Similarly, we'll use for the other guy, which is remember we'll also put the next hop here. So it's going to be 105.1, and for the other IP it's going to be, I believe, 106. So we will select this one, gonna paste it here, change this 105 to 106, right? Let's grab this guy and paste it over here, right? Rest all looks good. I'm gonna go to the next tab here, right? Skip this for now, go next, select both of the first two options, click next, let's keep all of the things as default. We want all the 4 BIOS, we want the default template. I'm gonna click the apply. So let's wait for this to finish. Perfect, so this is good. So I'm gonna close this guy, and the last one to be done, which is SP4. Click on approve again. Right, so we will continue with skipping this one. Right, and let's wait for the next step. There we go. So we have the next step showing up. Remember, we have to select a different deployment profile here because the Berlin site is going to be like a data center site for us. So let's wait. Right, so we have your SP4. Let's change this to Berlin. Admin password is going to be perfect, which is good. Let's change city to obviously Berlin. Right, and this is going to be Germany. Right, perfect. So we have selected that. We can skip all of this. Go next. Go back to router. Here it's going to be bridge please, but data center HA. Right, perfect. So here we need to start putting in the IP addresses. So we'll start with the LAN interface, which is 10.99. It's going to be 30 if I'm not wrong. Is it 30? Let's go back and check. Right, it is 35, sorry. So let's use 35 over here. 35 dot maybe 101, right? Because we also have one more appliance which we will configure in future, which is the SP5. Right, so that is 35. Let's just change from 35 to 30, maybe 8 here, and let's again go and maybe increase it to maybe 41. Right, so yeah, so this is think of this as a data center, right? So we have like three separate subnets here, which is fine. And now coming to the WAN side, right? So on the WAN side we are going to have let's see, so I think we have a mistake here because I see there is inet1 and inet1, both of them are selected here. So ideally this should not be inet1, but technically we can change it here, right? So we'll change it here. We'll change this to MPLS1, right? I think I made a mistake while creating the deployment profiles earlier. Okay, but let's go with the MPLS. What's the MPLS IP here? So if you look at MPLS IP, it is actually it's 10.99.107 107, and 108 is for the internet. Okay, so it's gonna be 10.99.107. It's gonna be 100, right? Sorry, we will have two IPs. So we're gonna use 101/24. That's for the MPLS guy. Let's select this one. Let's change this to 101, but this is going to be 108. Perfect. The next stop is going to be similar, right? It's going to be .1 here, whereas this one is also going to be .1. Perfect. WAN 0, WAN 1, MPLS and inet, and these two look good. Okay, so we have put in all the configurations needed. Gonna click on the next button here, and again click on the next button, select both of these guys, right? And we are gonna have all the BIOS. We're gonna have the default thing. Click apply, wait for this to finish. Perfect. The other important step we gotta do is we'll close this. Remember, we still have management IPs, but with the DHCP, right? So we'll change that. Let's go to SP2 and appliance manager. So let's wait for that to load. Okay, so let's start changing this, right? We'll just go to administration, click on hostname IP. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but that's okay. As you can see here, you're starting to see some alarms, which is fine. You can actually see the tunnels here. It just says that many tunnels are down, right? Which is okay because it takes a bit of time for the tunnels to really show up. Okay, so here we are going to change this from 10, I think we have used 1.4 before. Let's just change this to 1.5, right? And I'm gonna hit the apply button. So while that is getting saved, let's actually open up the other two guys, which is SP3 and SP4 as well. Where's the other guy? I think we can open the SP4 as well. Okay, cool. So let's wait for excuse me, that to come up. Perfect. So we'll go to SP3. So we'll just click on this guy. Sorry, administration, hostname, IP. And we will just uncheck this. We'll change this from 1.5 to 6, right? And rest everything looks good. I'm going to hit the apply button. Similarly, go to SP4, go to administration, hostname, IP. Okay, so we'll change again this one also from DHCP, change it from I think this is supposed to be 4567, right? So I'm gonna hit the apply. So once it kind of stops loading, you can go and click the save button. So I'm gonna do that for all the three and I'll come back. All right, so back on my orchestrator tab, you can see a bunch of things are happening. You can see things are in red. Red is never good, but in this case it is fine. Orchestrator is trying to set up all those tunnels and everything. You can see the orchestration ETA as well. You can click on this button and it will show you the ETA. You can see it has done some changes on 1, 2 and 4. It still has to do on 3, so it's taking time, but that's okay. So I'm gonna pause the video and come back once that is done. All right, so looks like all the alarms have gone away. You can see it's no longer red in color, which means all the underlay tunnels, all the IPsec tunnels and everything has been built successfully between appliances which are up, which is 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? It's that simple. So now we could do a quick test. Like for example, what we can do is we will look at for example, where's my pen, right? So you can see here what we'll do is we have SP1 and we have SP2, right? This guy has all the 3 transports, whereas this guy has just MPLS. So what we'll do is we'll probably use this MPLS transport, right? Something like this. So, in this way, right? So these 2 appliances technically will at least have one IPsec tunnel, right? Because both of them have one common transport, which is MPLS1, right? This guy doesn't have internet and LTE, so you can't form tunnels over it, but at least over MPLS you can have the tunnels, right? So what we'll do is we'll do a iperf test on that and we'll see if everything is flowing through as expected. So we'll go to I think we'll go to, let's just get rid of that, right? So we'll go to I think administration, tools, and we'll go to link integrity test, right? So we can clear this. So what we'll do is we have SP1, we have SP2. So you see you have selected SP1 and SP2. You have to just select both the appliances and then click on this. And I'm going to keep the Mbps as, I think we'll just keep 2 Mbps for now, right? In either of the direction. Duration is about 10 seconds. And the mode, right, we'll use the, we are testing the tunnels, right, or the MPLS. We're going to use 2 SP2 and this is the IPsec tunnel, right, technically. So this is the tunnel which is formed between MPLS1 on SP2 and MPLS1 on SP1. iperf, and I'm gonna start. So what will happen is this is a iperf test, right? So it will send certain amount of data. First SP, I think 2 will become a client and this will become a server. So it will do those tests on both the direction, right? So after 10 seconds it will give you the results. So we'll be able to see how our tunnels are actually behaving. There you go. See, you can see this client is connecting to this guy is acting as a client and it's trying to connect to 10.99.101.100. So if you look at my topology, that is nothing but this. So SP2 is trying to connect to SP1 and send some data, where SP1 is acting as a server, right? And you can see a certain amount of data is being sent. It sends data in I think period of 1 second. So 1 second, so you can see it has sent about, during a period of 10 seconds, right? It has sent data, and it will give you the final results over here, right? I think this is the total amount of data, this was the speed, and it also gives you like the loss, right? I think it was 0% loss in this case. So similarly, it will try to do the reverse direction. There you go. So first it did this as a client and this as a server, then it does in the reverse direction where this acts as a client and this acts as a server, and will give you the final results. But ultimately you can see the traffic is flowing over the tunnel, so we are good. So we are good in the sense this is a good way to verify that your tunnels are all working using a iPerf test. Perfect. So I think we have achieved what we set out to do. What we have done is we have actually gone about bringing up SP2, SP3 and SP4 in this video, and we have configured it correctly. We have we have run iPerf test also to verify that the tunnels between SP1 and SP2 is working. Similar will be the case between all the other tunnels. If you want to kind of run those tests, go ahead and do it. But I think at this point I'll wind the video here, and we'll come back with more use cases in the coming video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a good one.